Welcome to This Week with Old Sarge. This week, talking about going down to the demo range. Yep, sitting out there in the ammunition supply point of Fort Riley, Kansas, home of the Big Red One. Shout out to you guys, second week in a row. One of my sergeants walks in, he says, "Hey LT, be all right if I get some help from you? I'd like to take my troops to the demo range." Well, now that's some good training. I said, "Sure, what do you need from me?" And he said, "Well, I need a officer to sign for the range." I said, "Oh, well, if I got to sign for the range, I get to go, right?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you can go. Ooh, love me some good training." So I said, "All right. You go down, get it all scheduled up. Let me know when I need to go down and sign for it, when we're going, and all that. We'll get her going." I said to my chief warrant officer, I said, "Chief, we got any demo stuff downrange we can contribute to this?" He's like, "Yeah, I think we can find some stuff for you." I said, "All right, we're in business, Sarge." I said, "Set her up, let me know." So he's like, "All right." He goes out, starts making the arrangements. My warrant officer, he kind of took a liking to me after we worked together for quite a while. He says, "You know, LT," he says, "that reminds me of a funny story." And I said, "Oh yeah, what's that, Chief?" And he's like, "Well, back when I was in EOD, before I became a warrant officer," he says, we had to go down and blow up all the unsearchable ammunition every so often. When they get too much of it piled up." I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "We had this brand new lieutenant that was in charge of the EOD detachment. So he was out there with us. We got the big old trench dug. And we got all the unsearchable ammo laid in there, just like it ought to be. And put all the high explosive in there, in certain spots to make sure it all goes up. And hooked it all up with deck cord, made a nice little ring main out of it. Run that deck cord up out of the trench. We covered that trench over with dirt and tamped her down good. It was time to test the time fuse, non-electric stuff. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember this from Redstone Arsenal." You take that first foot or so, a time fuse, cut that off of there, he says. Then you take a known distance now, cut that off, you hook an igniter to it, you pop that igniter, you see a little puff of smoke, and you see the outside of that time fuse kind of about the same size as a clothesline rope, kind of starts bubbling on outside. You can see that bubbling going down towards the other end. Out the other end, that the time fuse had burned all the way down. And you time it while you're doing this. So you pop the igniter, you start timing it with your second hand there, and you see how long it takes to run down that known distance. And then, from where you're going to set off this igniter to the time fuse, and how long it takes you to get back up to the safe area. You might need a fairly good amount of time fuse on there, but since you know how long a known length of it takes to burn, you know how long to cut it. I said, "Yeah, I'm with you." So we're down there timing this, our new lieutenant's with us. Everybody's timing it out, and we're like, "All right." Took about that long. Now, time fuse is a little iffy. It's not perfect. If you cut off a foot of it and you burn it, it takes so long. You cut off another foot off the same roll and burn it. May take a little bit longer, a little bit less. There's a little bit of wiggle room in there, so you always want to cut her long. So they're sitting there getting ready to cut off the amount they need, and one of the NCOs said, "LT," he says, "I bet you I can tell you within 5 seconds of when that demo's going to blow down there, all that unsearchable ammo. Bet I can tell you within 5 seconds." And this lieutenant, he's like, Now he knows about the varieties of time fuse and all. He's like, "Well," he's like, "All right." He says, "I'll take that bet from you, Sergeant." So they cut off the length of time fuse they need and put a non-electric blasting cap on it, crimp her down, hook it to the the deck cord, get the igniter on the other end, pop it, smoke, bubbling, everything's working, drop it on the ground, count heads, plenty of time to get back up to the safe area. So they're all standing up in the safe area watching, and all of a sudden, kabloom, downrange. And that NCO, he looks at the LT and he says, 3, 2, 1, now. Little NCO trick for the new lieutenant. Got to watch people in the military, they're a little bit tricky. So my sergeant, he comes back in. He's like, hey, LT, I got it all set up. I need you to go down and sign for the range. We're going to go out there this date. Everything's ready to go. Chief's like, good to go. I'll make sure the demo stuff's ready. We'll be ready to go do this training. Outstanding. So day comes, we roll up out there, got the troops in one truck, and we got the explosives in another truck. Go out there and take a look at the range, see what we got. You know, there's a big old concrete bunker out there. It's huge. It's got huge armored glass viewports in it, so you can see what's going on downrange. So I said, well, Sergeant, what do we got to blow up today? And he's like, well, I got a shape charge, I got a 40-pound cratering charge, I got a whole roll of deck cord, I got big roll of time fuse, I got a bunch of non-electric blasting caps, and I got a bunch of igniters. I said, well, we're in business. We got everything we need. I said, what do you and the troops want to do here? And he's like, well, LT, he said, I thought I'd show them what a shape charge looks like when it goes off. That's good. High explosive, good for cutting, good for drilling holes right through things. So he finds this hard piece of ground out there, and he sets shape charge down on that thing. I said, got a lot of deck cord. I mean, you want to do something with that? It's nice explosive deck cord. Again, about the size of a clothesline rope. You can wrap it around trees. It'll blow a tree in half. You can wrap it around all kinds of stuff. Really good for blowing things up all at once. Because since it's explosives, the explosive force travels at 186,000 miles per second. Speed of light, basically. So when one end of the deck cord blows up, all of it blows up. It's fantastic stuff. So he's like, well, you know, there's a metal fence post right over there. One of those you hammer into the ground, never can't get back out again, that the farmers use. So he puts a couple turns around that with some deck cord, hooks that deck cord to the shape charge, and then hooks it on out a little bit further so we can hook the time fuse to it. He shows the troops how you test the time fuse, you know, cut off a bad piece, throw it away, cut off a new piece, burn it, time it, see what you got. Everybody's good to go, so he hooks it all up, non-electric blaster cap. It's all hooked up to the deck cord. He's like, gets one of the troops, and he's like, all right, pull this thing here, puff smoke. You'll see it burning down. So he pops it, sure enough, everything's good to go, drops it, got everybody. Head over to the bunker. Troops are watching out the window. See two explosions simultaneously. Boom! Rigged two things to explode. Two things went off. Perfection. So, head down range, take a look, see what we got. That shape charge blew one of those pointy ice cream cone shaped holes right in the ground, about 5 foot down. Dang, beautiful job. Perfect. Go look over at the fence post. It's chopped off right where the deck cord was wrapped around it. Top of the fence post is gone. Don't know where it went, but see, use this for cutting. Use that for blowing holes in things. Troops are impressed. I said, what do you want to do with that 40-pound crater charge and the rest of this deck cord now? He's like, well, I figured we'd take this 40-pound crater charge and put it in the hole that shape charge made. Show them the difference between high explosive and low explosive. Crater and charge low explosive makes a big, huge crater. You know, like you want to tear up a runway or something. Shape charge just punch a hole straight down, which is kind of a tapered hole straight down, but does a good job to make a start for a crater and charge. So Put the crater in charge in there, got it all wired up. Got a whole roll of deck cord left. I said, well, what do you want to do with that? He's like, well, I figured we'd throw it in this mud hole over here. It's kind of a, I guess somebody blew something up one time and then it filled up with water. So he dumps that thing in there, still got a hold of the end of the deck cord and dumps it in there. It's pretty deep. Goes, whoop, okay. A little deeper than the look. Got the time fuse, get it all hooked up, pop it, smoke, see the time fuse burning. And then we notice a bunch of frogs jumping in this water. Too late now, she's burning. Sorry, frogs. We hightail it back up to the bunker. Both of them go off same time. Boom! That water shoots straight up out of that hole. And a big old water column. Straight up. And then comes raining back down with a big old sploosh. Crater in charge went off at the same time. So we go down and take a look. Crater in charge, it just widened out a huge crater out of this hole that was started. Perfect example for the troops to see. The water column went up, was impressive. They really liked that, so that's a win also. So, good day at the demo range. Now our shout out section tonight. It's Memorial Day. Time to thank all those who defended the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Fought here in the Revolutionary War all the way up to our latest war in Afghanistan. Got troops all over the world taking care of business, even today. So we appreciate everyone who made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can live free here in this country. And those that are still out there standing a post, keeping us safe. Thank you. Thank you very much. My B troopers out there, you keep doing that great, fantastic job you always do. Don't let the doggone governor lead you astray away from your doggone oath. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. So till next week.